5, 6, 7, 8. It's a mess, sis. Oh, it's a mess, sis.
Hello, everybody, and
Oh, it's a
welcome
mess,
to the
sis.
podcast. It's a mess,
Oh, it's a
sis.
mess,
So, what
sis.
exactly is a mess? A
It's a
mess
mess,
is a
sis.
situation or a state of affairs
It's a
that
mess,
is
sis.
confused or full of difficulties.
It's a mess,
The
sis.
mess is when things don't go the way you
It's a mess,
plan.
sis.
It is when you have to go off script,
5,
improvise,
6,
ad
7.
lib, sit through the
It's a mess,
awkwardness,
sis.
and breathe through the pain until you come
It's a
out on
mess,
the other
sis.
side, because you will come out
It's a
on the
mess,
other
sis.
side. It is everything that makes life
It's a mess, sis.
interesting and transformative. It is what
It's
we
a
are here to
mess,
do.
sis.
It is how we learn how
It's a
to
mess,
be.
sis.
So, join us as we
It's a
dive
mess,
into
sis.
this week's mess.
It's a mess, sis. Oh. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to It's a Mess, Sis, my favorite podcast. I am Jess with the mess, and I am so glad you came back to hang out with us again.
And yo, I'm Rena. I'm your other co host. I'm a creative. I like making things. I'm all about personal self development. And I want this podcast to be a platform where people are inspired to be creative and gain knowledge, acceptance, and love for themselves.
Lovely. So, that is a little about us, and you guys have joined us for episode 45 entitled, Is It Good to You? The good, the bad, and the meaning of both. In a little bit, we're going to dive into that and get all, into the nitty gritty. But before we do, we have a little segment called What's the Mess? And I'm going to ask Rena, actually, before we get into that, I want to ask you, the listener, have you ever wanted to share your mess with us? Well, we would love to hear it. We now have a dedicated email just for you to share your mess and how you're dealing with it. If you'd like to share your mess, please write to us at our new email, what's the mess sis at gmail.com. That is WHATS Okay, wait.
I'm gonna write that down. Look. I got it. It's gonna be in the description. And we're also on our social media. So follow us at It's a Mess Sis Podcast on Instagram. That's where we update. That's the easiest way to reach us. So y'all gonna get it.
Yeah. So again, if you have a mess and you'd like to share, like that mess I just did, please write to us at what's the mess sis at gmail.com. Okay, so now I'm gonna ask Rena, what's your mess?
All right. So my mess is that I'm realizing that I need to slow down.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I had a whole different mess. Forget that mess.
Okay.
I'm just realizing that I need to take my time.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's been like a really big epiphany for me.
Okay.
Because I've been rushing off to do things on other people's timelines or timelines that I don't know where I got this timeline, where this timeline was assigned. And it just always leaves me feeling panicked or like I'm not moving fast enough, doing anything fast enough. And now I'm realizing I'm running on divine timing at this point.
I know that's right.
And it's going to get done. I've actually written on my mirror, like as I'm leaving the house, like, it's going to get done.
Yeah.
Because I've been staying late at work and I've been getting comp time and everything, but I've been working a lot, and it's because I get to a point where I just can't tell myself, "Hey, you can finish this tomorrow." Like it's okay. It can wait. So, I'm just realizing that I'm also realizing like with my handwriting that I am rushing so much that I'm making mistakes. I'm not spelling stuff correctly. I'm skipping words, and I'm like, is something going on with me? And that can still be the case.
And what? You can still what?
And that can still be the case.
Oh, but, right.
I'm like, am I stroking out? But I think what I think it is just that I need to just take my time in the moment and breathe and know that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm putting this sense of urgency on myself. And that doesn't
it's unnecessary.
It's unnecessary.
Was there something that caused you to have that revelation? I mean, I know you're saying the things that you are recognizing are because of rush behavior, but was it something that happened that you were like, okay, relax?
I think I'm realizing that I think it came from that urgency comes from me not fully being myself and not embracing how I work.
Okay.
And not accepting like how I do things. And now I feel like I'm getting to this point where I'm realizing, okay, I do things differently from people, and that's okay. Yeah. It doesn't make what I'm doing any less. It doesn't make what they're doing any less. It's just different. But when I was kind of pretending, being an imposter, like I felt like I had to be perfect. I felt like I had to do everything. When in reality, as humans, we prioritize things. That's how things
Right.
work.
Yeah.
So I've been staying late trying to complete case notes, you know, like perfectly. Like I'm trying to
Mm,
write down every contact. If I call a person and they didn't answer the phone, I'm documenting that. And then I realized I had to get still, I had to slow down and
yeah.
really think about what I was doing. Think
Yeah.
about why I was doing it and if that really is something that's necessary as part of
Mm,
my documentation.
yeah.
Because I'm over here just running myself ragged, and that's
Yeah.
not necessary. I don't need to document when I've called and they didn't answer.
Yeah.
Just document when they did answer. Now, it's
Right.
different if I've been trying to reach out to this person and I'm trying to show that this person has been ducking me.
Yeah.
That's different. But that
Yeah.
doesn't take a long time. But me writing like a whole soliloquy about, oh, I attempted to call this person at 3:59 p.m. and they did not answer. And I was like, that is odd because normally,
Yeah.
it's like it's ridiculous. It just showed me like as I get more comfortable in the job, I'm realizing, okay,
Okay.
this is how I work. This is important to me and this isn't.
Yeah.
And it required me to kind of slow down, get still, and like just do what my body has been begging me to do, which is like
Yeah.
sit the fuck
Relax.
down,
Yeah.
relax, to realize I ain't got to do half this shit I've been forcing myself to do.
Is this also in your personal life, or this is just really about your working life?
Oh, this is absolutely just run all up and through who I
Okay.
am as a person.
Okay.
I need to slow down, period.
In
General, even when I eat, I need to slow down and chew more. Like,
oh no, not wolfing it down.
right. Like,
Yeah.
I'm quick to say, oh, I want that shoe, buy the shoe. By the time I get the shoe, sit with it. I'm like, I could have not bought this shoe. Now I got to return the shoe. Like,
Right. Right.
I'm realizing that I just need to take a pause.
Okay. And is that good or bad? No, I'm just playing because it's coming into the conversation. You like I did that?
I did. Okay.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. I think it's so dope when you have these revelations about yourself. I mean, it kind of sucks sometimes because you're like, damn, I'm really, for me anyway, when I have some of these revelations, I'm like, I'm really doing this shit to myself.
That's exactly.
It's really me, nigga. Like, I'm really the one doing this shit. But good. Okay. Well, I look forward to your updates of how you're slowing down.
Yeah, I'm just chilling. I'm chilling. If I don't get something done, I'm like, it wasn't meant to get done today.
Right.
Why? Because the divine said so.
Period. And I'm about to go take a nap.
Right. I'm tired. Maybe I need to hold off. Maybe I need to wait. Maybe there's something that I gotta wait for it so I can write it down. That's exactly what I'm telling my supervisor when she's like, why your notes 2 months late? I'm like, I'm waiting for God to tell me when it's good for me to turn those into you.
Oh no. Okay. Going to 2 different extremes. Okay. I don't know how I feel, but you know what? What's good for you may not be good for me. And if that works for you, then it's not bad.
Okay, are you doing the Negro proverb of if you like it, I love it? Is
that okay, what we're period. Doing here? Period.
Is that what we're doing?
Period.
Okay.
And that's that on that.
All right, what about you, Jess? Jess with the mess, who is a mess, like the whole namesake of this podcast. What's going on with you?
I feel like things are starting to come together for me. Right?
You cleaning up the mess?
But see, it's still always gonna be a little messy somehow, because the mess is that as soon as things start to feel like, oh shit, okay, this is kind of like what I knew, what I thought, what I hoped, all these things start to come together, then it feels like I have a fear, and it's like almost immediate. I have a fear of the understanding, and I'm doing that in quotes, or this feeling that it's inevitably going to fall apart again. Like, it's just so many things started like lining up for me. And I was like, oh shit. I had a dope ass interview. Some other business shit was like starting to cut. I don't know. It's just like a lot of things were happening that were really like, oh, wow. And then I was just like, oh shit. Like, it's just that old shit moment of like, okay, well, it can't stay like this forever, but I quickly gathered myself
Okay.
So that I can just enjoy this moment in the present.
Okay.
Like I said, I have the opportunity to move soon. I had a really amazing interview. Like I said, other loose ends are kind of like being tied up. And I'm really just grateful to be here to see it.
Yeah.
I'm constantly pushing myself through all these perceived struggles, and to be able to see some of my effort pay off feels really rewarding. So the mess was that even though things were starting to look like really bright and beautiful, and lots of seeds that have been planted are starting to bloom, I just immediately went to, oh, well, I'm going to have to plant seeds again. The cycle that is inevitable, which is fine. And I'm grateful for the whole cycle of it. But I didn't just take the moment to appreciate the bloom and say, wow, things are really looking up. So I had that moment, but I recognized it and I nipped it. I was like, all right, relax.
So what are you telling yourself about planting more seeds though?
That it's tumultuous, because if it's if you think about it, when you get to new land, right, and it's not perennials, so they're not growing every year, right? This is, you're gonna have to till the land. You're gonna have to do that backbreaking work of like breaking through the soil, laying it down, watering it. Some are gonna die, some are gonna blow away, some are gonna have infestations. There's gonna be things that happen to your crop. And I'm saying all this like I'm like a farmer, but I've been watching shit. I know a little bit. But inevitably that's hard work, and sometimes it's disappointing. Sometimes it doesn't yield, what you thought it was going to yield. Maybe you planted 30 and you only got 5, or something like that. So the work of it is hard work. It's hard work to plant new seeds and to invest in yourself and to overcome some traumas. And I'm saying these are all things that have to be done in order to live the life that you want. But it's not easy, and it's not it's kind of scary. So yeah, that was my initial like reaction when I was like, the Instagram sound where it's like, oh Lord, were they doing that now? That's kind of what it was. I was sitting with everything and I was like, oh Lord. And that was kind of like what happened. And then I was like, relax, like just like this is in bloom, that'll bloom too. Even if you whatever is going to come, as long as I keep going, there will inevitably be more blooms as I continue. So yeah, that was the mess. And it's a good mess though.
Okay. No, it sounds like it sounds like a great mess. I'm like,
ask it. Questions?
It's not a question. I feel like it's going to go into our topic though. When we talk about perception, that's what I'm picking up on there. But then also you said relax, and I'm like, I'm like, that's what you were telling me when I was talking about how I've been running around and how I need to kind of slow down.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting that there's these commonalities.
Always.
In our mess.
It feels like there's always some sort of like
commonalities.
Oh no, please not the dance. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God, not the dance.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord.
We can combine it too.
No, it's not.
No?
No, I hate it. I mean, I don't hate it, but every time I see it, I just get so confused. Oh God. Okay, so that was our mess, and we thank you for listening. And again, if you have a mess that you would like to share, we'd like you to tell us the mess and how you're dealing with it. That would be sending us an email at whatsthemesssis@gmail.com. We would greatly appreciate it. So now back to the topic, which if you'll remember is it good to you? The good, the bad, and the meaning of both. But before we really dive in, I'm going to ask Rena, why did you choose this topic?
Okay. I chose this topic because for the same reason as my mess, I find myself being very quick. quick.
Okay.
To call something good or bad. And I know it's so much deeper than that, like knee-jerk reaction to be like, oh, that's good. I like that. Or, oh shit. Oh no. that's bad, and I want to challenge myself to really understand and look into what I'm really saying when I use those terms, by tapping into like how I feel and how I'm impacted, to kind of go over like my track record of using those words, because I believe it causes me to approach and perceive things in a certain way based on the word that I choose. So I feel like it's a critical component of self-mastery to have a really firm understanding of what I'm saying, what I use when I use just good or bad.
Right.
Because when I use them, I want to know that I'm being mindful and that I'm being intentional when I am using those words. And it's not just something I'm throwing out there and I don't really have a full understanding of why or what's really going on with me when I say them. So I figure, hey, somebody else may feel the same way. That's how we do. We just, anything that's touching us, we decide we want it to touch other people too. That came out.
Wow, it really did. I was like, this sounded really creepy. Anything that touches us. What? Where are we going with this?
I want to spread it. No, I'm just kidding.
Ew!
I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. Y'all pray for me.
You're going to have to edit this out.
No, it's not being edited at all. They're going to hear you acting like yourself. Did you say you 100% yourself?
I did.
Right. This is you. This is you on camera.
Okay.
Ciao. Okay. So I agreed to this.
Because you ain't have a choice.
Basically. But essentially. No, but it really kind of frightened me because I don't know that this conversation will help me get to the bottom of it. I feel like this is a really deep one for me. Like, how am I supposed to sift through all of this? But I am glad to dive into the abyss and come to some sort of understanding for myself, or, have some sort of grasp on why I say a thing is good, why I say a thing is bad. So yeah, I mean, let's dive into this thing. And so because I am ready, I hope you guys are ready. I'm going to have Rena tell us what we doing this episode. What are we doing? How are we doing this?
Well, the agenda, as always, is the DIC.
The DIC.
Right, which stands for Define, Impact, and Cope. So this episode, we will explore and define the definition of good and bad. Then we will discuss the impact of using those words in our lives, how it makes us feel, how we react to situations when we attach these words under our personal definitions. And lastly, we then talk about how we cope with our understanding of the meaning of these words and discuss how we will proceed when using these words in the future. One thing to note, we make each section clearly known, so feel free to pause throughout to give yourself time to answer. You'll hear either Jess or I say, okay, we're at the definition, impact, cope, etc. This is just a suggestion. We just do that so it can give you time to pause, take it slow, write down any notes, journal, any answers, thoughts, just do what feels right for you.
Lovely. Thank you for that. And so now I will clearly let you know that we are to the definition.
Okay.
Okay. So what is the definition of good and bad? So I'll start with the easy part, and that's the Google definition for both the words good and bad. Okay. So Google defines good as that which is morally right, righteousness, or righteousness. And it defines bad as having a wicked or evil character, morally reprehensible.
Oh, that's deep.
Right?
I wasn't expecting that.
Exactly. So essentially, Google defines good and bad in terms of morality or your morals. And I relate because my understanding of good and bad was shaped, by the church. I think our understanding of good and bad is, it starts very early. So mine was shaped by the church. So I view things through that lens in terms of good and bad. Like, both of them stem from, would Jesus be pleased? That's how I was raised. If you're doing something and Jesus is not pleased, WWJD, what would Jesus do? Kind of thing. So eventually those learned thoughts started to conflict with how I naturally felt, and also with new information that I was being presented in the secular world, which is what, church people call non-church people. And I am now trying to see good and bad as a measurement of how I rest in the feeling, right? Does this come with loads of stress? Or is there excitement? Or is there ease with which this is happening? I'm trying to redefine what good and bad is, because with any kind of indoctrination, I still find myself sometimes being pulled in the direction of WWJD, even though, I don't know. That's why I said this one's so hard for me, because I'm trying to unlearn some of the things that I have been taught about what's good and bad, because it doesn't feel right. But my mind and what I've been taught are these certain things. I don't know. It's a very tricky place to be. So that's my definition. And yeah.
Wow. I want to thank you for that, because I did not go there at all with it. I guess I have no morals. So that just
okay.
I didn't even think about Jesus or what he would do.
I mean, and I think that's the beauty of this conversation between two different people, is because what I'm perceiving as good and what you're perceiving as good, we've come from two different places of understanding about what is good.
Right. Yeah. I think I keep forgetting how deep it runs, because I went to church off and on as a kid, and I had my experiences and my traumas with them.
I bet.
But like I really, I think at one point my definition of good and bad probably was based on, would God be pleased, or like, am I going to heaven or hell? But doing this exercise this time, I went solely from my own personal definition.
That's beautiful.
And I completely forgot that that's not possible. Like, not that that's not possible, but that not everyone does that.
Right.
That's the whole reason why I chose this episode, because I knew that. So I don't know. I don't know why I'm so shocked. Maybe I'm more shocked. I'm like, when did I lose my morals? Like, I didn't think about Jesus.
But that doesn't mean that you don't have morals. See, this is the point of this conversation. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, yeah. Tell us your definition. Let's hear your definition.
I'm being extra. I actually feel like I do have pretty strong morals. I just don't feel like they align with all of the stories and the tales and rules and of the church.
Right.
So for me, just, Rena's definition.
Right.
Good means that something brings me joy, pleasure, peace, excitement, feelings that make my heart flutter and my spirit soar. I know, right?
That was so cute. I love that.
It's what I want. It's desire. It's something I want to lean into. When I think bad, to me, it means things that make me feel fearful, uncomfortable, anxious, unsettled, feelings that make my heart sink into my stomach. To me, bad means run. It means pain, suffering, embarrassment, like all of those feelings that just make you want to hit one of those either fight, flight, freeze responses. That's bad. So, so it's like an alert system for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I'm still on the whole, like, Google tells us, okay, good is Jesus loves it. This I know.
It didn't say that, essentially. It just said that which is morally right. But if your morals align, God, this one is so hard, because you can be taught morally anything. Your morals are, we're in a cult. That's what culture is. Cult is just a shortened, literally, everybody is in a cult. Your culture is your cult. It's what you've been taught, what you've been groomed to think is morally right. That's why you have women who dress from head to toe and they're covered. That is morally right for them in their religion and in their culture. That's not morally right for us, or I guess it's not morally wrong for us to not be covered. For me to have my shoulders out or my legs out, I don't feel morally wrong for that. So I don't know. It's just,
I mean, because I mean, essentially, we're all in a cult, right?
Right.
And God, the divine source, spirit, universe, all that good energy up there. I guess good, for lack of a better term,
right?
It's overseeing everything. But we're down here as humans, as man,
right?
And we're teaching man's morals based off of what we believe the divine wants or God wants, right? So, like, because when you were talking about these morals, where we're taught these morals, what's good and what's bad, at one point in time, and still deep down inside, some people may believe this, but slavery was okay. Like, in the book, they had permission and license to enslave people, other humans. And that was seen as good.
Right.
Like, nobody in that time, well, I won't say nobody, but the people who were doing it in that time, they could justify, oh, this is good.
Right.
And, beating a slave within an inch of their life, that is also good. Now, if you kill them, bad.
Because of the money aspect, not because of the human aspect. So then it's like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this one, like I said, this topic is, that's why I was like, I don't expecting know.
It to go this deep.
I knew it
Why
was.
didn't you tell me?
Because I feel like we should have a conversation about it, but I just knew. I'm like, this is so hard because I don't fucking know. I have no fucking idea.
And I think where I'm coming from with this topic is that you do know.
Maybe.
You do know. You know what's good for you and you know what's bad to you.
Yeah.
And if you try to compare it to what we've been taught or based on different cultures, then you may be persuaded into thinking that something that's good for you is bad and something that's bad for you is good.
Yeah, well, it's just life. Okay.
I think it's just life.
I mean,
they convinced all of us to pay to live. Somebody
literally
said it's good to have a job and to pay all these taxes and to pay all these people. When my dog sleeps on my couch 22 out of 24 hours a day for free, I have to pay for his food. Dogs.
You wouldn't if you let him be where he's supposed to be, which is a while.
If I set him off into the, first of all,
not now.
I've left him outside like for 30 minutes. Because when you're carrying group, my dog is a Yorkie, okay?
Oh, okay.
He is like
tiny.
He gets excited when I open the door. I'm one trip woman. I'm carrying everything with me in one trip. I don't see him sometimes. So I'm, unloading my groceries, and then I'm like, I don't hear whining or begging. I don't hear little pitter patter. Something's wrong. I start calling him, and sometimes he ignores me when I call him.
That's hilarious.
But then when I realize, when I say treat and he doesn't come running, I'm like, oh, where is he? And he's usually outside, just sitting there, like
you left me out here.
You forgot me, homie? Like, really?
You forgot me, homie? Oh my goodness. Okay, we veered a bit.
We have.
We're going to steer on back. We're going to steer on back to the impact. Impact of our definitions.
So you're going to go on and tell us just what the impact is. I'm afraid of what you're going to say now. Because
don't be afraid. Follow me into the light.
Like, good and bad is what you define it as. And you're like, Jesus said. And I was like, oh, I forgot about Jesus.
I'm weak. And it's so funny because, I'll get to that after I tell you my impact. But I'll say it now and then I'll dive in. But I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't. And which is okay. We'll get into that in a minute.
It's what comes on the impact. Let's do it.
It is. So I think the impact of being raised to think that a higher power was in control of what was good and what was bad is that I spent a lot of time in judgment of myself and of others. If people were doing something I deemed or had been told was bad, I couldn't reconcile that. I'm like, how could you do that? That's bad. And if I was doing something that was deemed bad, it was even worse.
Oh.
So of course I struggled with my sexuality for so long because of this. You know, I struggled with being empathetic to other people's stories. I struggled with the way the world works in general. You know, so
That part.
I, yeah. I mean, and I still struggle sometimes, you know, with the way I'm working to see the world now. I feel the impact is that I'm not putting so much pressure on myself or others to be good. I'm realizing that everybody's journey looks different, and what is good for you may not work for me, and vice versa. So yeah, the main impact is that I sat in a place of judgment a lot, feeling like I knew what was morally right for everyone. And if I veered or anyone else veered, then you're bad. And you know, the only way back is to get on this one designated path. And I think it's very restrictive, and it's very limiting, and it's very harmful to be in that place, especially when you sit outside of those parameters of what's good, you know, because if I'm not good because of something I didn't choose, i.e., let's say my sexuality, then who the fuck am I? I'm not good. So, like, you know, do I just abandon all? Do I start murdering people now because I'm not good anyway? Like, I don't know. It's just, I mean, that's an extreme, obviously, but it's yeah, it's a tough one.
So what I'm hearing is that you're really having to learn like who you are and how to be. You're having to like redefine all of that for yourself.
Of course.
Like not only like, you know, allowing yourself to be, but also allowing others to be. And it also sounds like you're having to learn how to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Because it seems like all your judgments for yourself and others was based off of this one singular idea of what good is, based off of, you know, whatever morals you were raised in, religious morals.
Yeah. And it's like there are new ways that I am presented with this sometimes. I'm like, damn, okay, that was unnecessary. Like I still find myself, and of course we have all of the things that it's not just a church, you know, raised in a patriarchy, raised in a, you know, misogynistic society, raised in a racist society, all those things, you know, you come to this understanding of what's good and bad again. And so I remember it wasn't anytime recent, but it was more, I was an adult, but I had this thought about these girls who had their ass out. They were like very short shorts and blah, blah, blah. And I had the quick thought, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why would you want to come out the house like that? But like all these thoughts of what's bad or what's wrong. And I was like, I feel like maybe mid-20s, maybe early to mid-20s. And then I just was like, after that thought, I was like, who gives a fuck? Like their ass is not doing shit to me. Like, why am I sitting in judgment of what they want to do?
Is it doing something to you? I mean,
shut up, Rita. You're so ridiculous. No, it wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't doing it for me. It wasn't doing it for me, which is why I could be in judgment, I guess. But
see, that part. And, no, that's a good point you just brought up, because people are quick to judge something that isn't doing something for them. That's bad.
That's true. That's very true. And so once I recognized, like, I'm also a part of this problem of women, especially being put into this very narrow place of what's good and what's respectable, and no bonnets out in public, and you shouldn't shake your ass, and this and all these things. I never gave a fuck about bonnets. I just want to go ahead and put that out there. That was
how did we get to bonnets?
Because I mean, you know, I was just saying there's this very narrow view of what is good for women, and I just wanted to use the bonnets because it's been a little hot topic this year. But yeah, I have, and more recently, I haven't had as many of those moments because I've been training myself to, like, if I have that thought, be like, why, you know? So yeah, that's been the impact for me.
That's crazy, because Now I'm seeing, I'm like, okay, we got the universal good versus bad. And of course I want to immediately say evil when I say universal good versus evil. Yeah. And because I wasn't even thinking evil at all, but yes, that's essentially what we're saying. We're saying good versus bad. And then we have your personal good and bad. And we got to decide which one we're going to follow. And we got to trust or we have to accept and be okay with whichever good or bad we're following.
And then how do you know? Like how?
You don't.
You don't know because okay.
Well, you do know.
I say,
you do
even
know.
when I say what feels innate, how do we know what's innate? How do we know? Because that means what you were born with. You that's how you would feel no matter how you were raised, right? No matter whose religion you were in, you would just feel like this is. I feel like what's innate for me is to treat people with respect,
right? And you,
but was that is that innate?
And I think that's
just
something
I was taught. Is that good? You know, I don't know.
I mean, as a baseline, like for instance, when I think innate, I think you know when you're breathing and when you aren't.
Right.
You know what it feels like to know to breathe and to not breathe. So when assessing good and bad, if something goes, you're like, okay, maybe something's going on here. Maybe not label it bad so quickly, but be like, something's going on here. And then when something for me feels good, I feel like I can breathe.
But see, that's a tricky one. I want you to get to your impact, but I feel like, especially if you were raised in hardcore extremes, a lot of things will make you, and that doesn't mean mean anything. Like I remember seeing people smoking cigarettes and I just knew they were going to hell. I was like, damn, you're going to hell. It would make me, oh my God, I can't believe you would do that. Like I knew
innately, you knew
innately, if we're saying innately, is just what brings you that shock, that oh my God, you know. And so yeah, I knew that was bad. I just knew it. But growing up, I'm just like, what? That was so. And even to the point of seeing people in other religions, I was under this certain understanding that you are not right. How can you believe that? That's wrong. And it would make me, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, I don't know.
I get what you're saying. Like if you're attached to, you know, an enterprise like that, to a religion like that, then yes, I guess I can see how you've been conditioned. I don't consider that as innate. You've been conditioned.
But how would you know? Okay, no, let me get to your impact because that's a real deep one. Tell me your impact, and then we'll get back to that.
Okay, so the impact for you of good and bad on my life. The impact has been that I feel like I use good and bad, those terms. My use of it causes these polarizing extremes in my feelings.
Okay.
So, for instance, when I say something is good, like I'm moving towards it, I'm excited, I'm on a high, like I'm on it. Yeah. But as soon as I label something that's bad, I'm retreating. I'm doing the exact opposite. And it causes me to have like such a rash reaction. And after some self-reflection, I'm realizing that sometimes I don't need to be so quick to run towards everything I think is good. And not run from everything that I label as bad.
Okay.
So like so for example, when I'm putting myself out there, right? And I'm being vulnerable, sometimes that uncomfortable feeling makes me say, okay, this is bad. Like, I got you. Like, what am I thinking? Like, don't do this. Don't do this. Right. But what I'm really saying in that moment is that I'm nervous or I'm uncertain or I'm doubting myself. And when I break it down like that, instead of saying just bad, it kind of removes that urgency to run. Okay. You know, I could deal with being nervous. I can deal with being uncertain. There's things I can do to address those feelings, but bad is dangerous, you know? And maybe there's a little bit of, oh, I'm going to hell. There could be a little bit of that in there too. But bad means it isn't working out. This isn't for me, that I must retreat, it makes me think that I can't do something when really I'm just saying that, I'm being challenged in this moment, or I'm being stretched, or I'm uncomfortable in this moment. That's one of the ways in which bad can be used.
Yeah.
Now, there could be situations where you reach in the fridge and you open up your carton of almond milk. I don't know if that shit goes bad, or regular milk, and you smell it. You're like, oh shit, that's bad.
That's a pretty, universal understanding.
Right. It's like, yeah, toss that out. Don't drink that.
Don't drink that.
Yeah, you can't deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then also when I say something is good, I feel like my defenses are down,
Okay.
I mean, and that's why I won't do crack, because if it feels too good, it's going to be hard to see the destruction that it causes.
Wow.
And the havoc that it wreaks.
Rita. Okay. Right. Okay. No crack, because it might feel too good.
Right. And then
and your guard will be down.
Yes, you do it.
Be doing crack all willy-nilly.
Is that not what happens?
That is what be happening. You're right. They just be doing crack all willy-nilly.
Right. And do anything for crack. Anything for crack.
Yeah. Wow. I'm
gonna give a more tame. You want to say something urgently? You gotta.
No. Go ahead. I'm just. You. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm gonna give a more tame example. For example, like buying another pair of shoes. Right.
Okay.
It feels good in that moment when I get that shoe. But then that credit card interest, if I'm just so urgently saying I need this shoe, like this is the only opportunity, I'm like, I'm gonna charge it.
Right.
And then you get that bill and you're like, dang, I ain't really need those shoes like that. And I could have waited, like it was good. It was really good in the moment. It was good when I got it in the mail. And then it turned bad. So I guess sometimes, the whole point of me bringing up this topic is I'm questioning, like, is good really good? Is bad really bad? Or have we just oversimplified it?
I feel like we've overcomplicated it. If I'm being honest, because it seems like we're trying to group so many things into that word. And even in your coping, you've said many things.
Huh? Not coping?
Or sorry, in your intention.
I'm about to say, wait a minute. The
impact. My bad. In your impact, you were saying how, there are different words to describe the feeling of bad. And I think we have, put all of that on bad instead of saying, I'm nervous.
That's what I mean by, like, we oversimplified it. Like, we're taking all these complex feelings and just labeling it as good or bad.
Oh, I got you. Okay, we're saying the same thing, essentially. Yeah. I think that complicates the word and you think it simplifies the other things, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah. I think we're on the same page.
It complicates bad, but then,
okay. We're there. I mean, essentially, we're saying the same thing, that bad is used as such an umbrella term to quantify everything that feels awkward, uncomfortable,
not pleasurable,
not pleasurable, maybe painful, maybe just, unsurety, all these things that we could say, I'm unsure, or I'm nervous, or I'm uncomfortable. And just labeling it as bad, like you said, now you're running from things and you're not taking it head on and saying, okay, why am I nervous? Right. Why am I uncomfortable? We don't go further when we label the thing. Even good. Like, I love cupcakes. Okay, well, I don't really love cupcakes. That was a lie. I like sweets. So I'd rather have a brownie than a cupcake. I don't really care for cupcakes. I don't know why I said that. Okay, I like brownies. I like cookies. Those things are good, right? But if I eat so much of it and I never dive into, okay, well, if you eat all of this is probably not good for this system of your body to have this much sugar. It's probably not good for this system of your nervous system, or it's not good just because I like a thing. So we don't ever dive deeper into why a thing is good or why a thing is bad. And I think that's where we have a lot of the trouble. You know what I mean?
I feel like good and bad are best used as, like, they're used as blanket terms. Commonly used as blanket terms, and I feel like they have use. if we use them like as cursory markers, like, like, I mean, because to label something quickly as good or bad, that can be the difference between life or death, especially
Right.
when we were out there in the wild, living for
Right.
free with the animals till we decided to come up with this system called
That's
bills,
stupid. Right. So
and
stupid.
taxes, which is just a bill. Anyway, so, you need it in a quick moment to say,
Yeah.
okay, is this situation good or bad? And
Mhm.
you have to make a quick decision. But what you're supposed to do is go back and say, okay, analyze. Why is that good? Why is that bad? And now in today times, we label something that's good and then we don't think anything more about it. Like you said, we label something that's bad and we avoid it and we don't think anything more of it.
Yeah.
And I question now, like, is it that maybe sometimes we've made this quick, decision to label something that's good, but we really didn't like give time for the bad to kind of show up, and
Mhm.
vice versa. Maybe, like for instance, you may think it is bad that you say you got a car, right? And you
Mhm.
couldn't afford that car.
Mhm.
And you decided to turn it in, and they gave you like this, they're like, okay, you turn it in and you owe like a few thousand, right?
Mhm.
You may think, man, this is bad. I'm not gonna have a car. I'm gonna owe 2,000. Or you could have
Mhm.
kept that car. It would have been repossessed, and you would have owed 24,000. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
if you just kind of keep it as, oh, it's bad, I don't have a car and I owe money, then you can't see how maybe it could have been a blessing or it could have prevented like further harm.
Yeah.
So maybe it was bad in the moment, but over time, it turned into something good. Like, and that's just, I feel like I'm explaining my point. This is why we can't be so quick to just label things so simply as good and
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
There's so much more
Yeah.
to it. We need to add the details, add that depth, because that gives you a more full, comprehensive understanding of the situation.
Right.
And
Right.
then I feel like, I'm sorry, I'm just going on this rant. Let me say this one last thing. I feel like people so quickly say good or bad, um, and they never develop their discernment beyond that.
What
So
do you
then
mean?
when that situation comes up again, you didn't take the time to analyze all that kind of went on in that situation. So
Mhm.
if it pops up again, you're going to keep making the same decision because you're so quick to say, oh, this is good. I'm like, was it really? Did you take
Mm.
the time to really analyze like everything that happened?
Mhm.
Because you keep going through the same situation for a reason.
Yeah.
Or if you label something as bad, oh, that's bad, I'm not going to do that. Like, a
Mhm.
lot of people are like, yeah, even with therapy, like,
Yeah.
some people go to a therapist and just like with any job, sometimes your therapist isn't great, you know,
Right. Right.
they probably need therapy themselves, they're not
Mhm.
aligned with that position.
Oftentimes.
But you may then say, oh, this was bad, I'm never doing it again. But you
Mhm.
clearly have a need. People are saying, hey, try it again. But if you keep saying, it's bad, you're going to end up in situations where maybe that keeps coming up until you get to a point where you can make a different decision.
Mhm. Mhm. And I mean, I think a lot of this is based off of, like I said, the rhetoric we were taught as kids, and also also it's based off the rhetoric we were taught as kids, and also just our fear
Yeah.
or our trepidation with something new. Good is familiar, bad is unfamiliar,
Oh,
kind of
that's such a
thing.
good point.
Yeah. So I don't know this one, and like I just there's so much more that can be said, and also I have no words. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
it's just, and I think it's because I come from this place of like I really had to. I really was forced out of my understanding of what was good and bad. Oftentimes you were able to sit in how you were taught as a kid, and it's affirmed in life, and you feel very validated in that and all of that. But because of my queerness, which I am honestly very grateful for, because it really opened my eyes to the possibilities that, first of all, I don't fucking know. Second of all, there's so much more that's bigger than me. But anyway, back to the point,
Um,
the queerness led me down a path of like questioning
mhm,
everything, because
mhm.
I'm like, the shit
Yeah.
y'all are teaching is not real. I didn't choose to be gay. I know that. I know that I've prayed to have it go away. And if God is so mighty, he would have took it away, was my understanding. So because of those two things, I'm having to re-explore everything that I have been taught. And so good and bad is like
And this is the
a
thing.
lot.
This is the thing. I feel like when it comes to good and bad, like when I came up with this topic, I didn't expect to come out with a definitive answer.
Yeah,
And then we think an answer has to be universal too.
we do.
And I feel like good and bad is not, like there are certain things where it can be universal.
Yeah.
But then there are a lot of cases where good and bad becomes very subjective and it's an individual experience. And and the whole point of me doing this topic is I don't want to discount that. If anything,
Right.
that's paramount. Even when choosing to follow society's universal good and bad, you still have to make a decision on if that aligns with your personal good or bad.
That's real shit.
And I want to bring that forward. I like in everything we do. And this entire podcast, that's my main goal. I want people to bring that your individual belief and definition to the forefront.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're all different. And we, like, for instance, you said that, you know, somebody could look at you saying being gay is bad. For you, even somebody who's gay can say, yeah, being gay hasn't been the best experience for me. Like, you know, based off of everything that they've gone through and we haven't lived their life. For you, you can say, you know what, it's kind of been eye-opening because it's forced me to question everything based on my own understanding and to develop my own meaning. So it's been good.
Right.
You know, there's somebody who look at you and hear that and say, that sounds bad, you know, but that doesn't mean you should just go and say, they say it's bad, so maybe I should feel bad about it. No, you just say, you know what, that's your definition. And, you know, I'm deciding to hold my definition because that feels good for me. So that's my whole thing. Like when it comes to good and bad, I want to kind of bring it back to how does that make you feel? There's a whole bunch of people out here living good lives and they feel real bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's a whole bunch of people out here looking like they have bad lives, but you know,
good.
It may be
I feel good.
Right. On Reddit.
I knew that I would.
No, maybe that should have been the title.
I was thinking that as I sang it.
On Reddit, this one guy told, like, everybody was talking about like their dream jobs or the best job they ever had. One guy was like, yeah, the best job I ever had was being a delivery driver for Pizza Hut. And he's like, yeah, I didn't make a lot of money, but I got to, you know, listen to music, drive around the city, deliver pizzas. And he's like, the look of little kids' faces when you show up with a pizza, like you can't replace that.
Yeah.
And other people saying, I know if I showed up, you know, at the family reunion, and they're like, well, what are you up to? I was like, yeah, I deliver pizza. They'd be like, she's not doing too hot. You doing okay? You need
Meanwhile,
a job?
You're enjoying the hell out of your life.
Right. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Happy.
You wanna I can't argue with you.
You mad.
But I feel you. Okay, so then how do we cope with all this? Right? Okay. That's where we are.
Let us know. Let us know. How do we cope?
I cope personally by recognizing should statements in my mind.
Oh, that part.
Questioning it. I have to question it. You know, the judgment that tends to come up with me immediately labeling something good or bad. I have to sit with why and re-examine the origin. I still believe that I want to be the best human being I can be. And by coping, I'm like finding out how to do that authentically. What sits with me and is well with me. Like I feel good, for lack of a better word, about it. I don't question it. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I'm working with should statements. Oh, you should be like this.
That's a red flag.
Because, you know, this is the best way to be. And working on that for myself. And when I do it to other people, what you should do, I have no idea. I don't know. You are on an entirely different life path, maybe even timeline than I'm on. I'm like taking a back seat and figuring out my path and seeing that the TVA doesn't come and get me. You know what I mean? Do you know what that's from?
No. I was about to ask.
It's from Loki. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you knew. You look like a Marvel nerd. So I guess I was wrong.
Sorry. No, I don't. I just stream. And I don't have like, what is it? What is that on? that
Disney Plus.
Yeah, I don't have Disney Plus. I'm not fancy. That's upper crust.
Oh.
That's upper echelon type shit right there.
Bitch,
I ain't
not
got
upper
that.
echelon.
I ain't got that. If it's not on
Listen,
Netflix, I ain't got it.
I feel you. People be letting me have a password.
I do like Loki. Like I like him. Like
yeah,
and
it's
when
a good show.
I was like, I should watch this, but
you should. It explains. I feel like it explains what has happened in my life in the past like 5 years. I feel like I'm on a different timeline. I'm like, this wasn't what it was supposed to be. I don't know what it was gonna be, but it wasn't this. But I'm excited. It's an interesting timeline.
I feel like life is like a choose your own adventure book, and then you make certain decisions, you get to that fork in the road, and then you hop onto another journey. Because lately,
those are my favorite books.
I loved those books as a kid.
I did all of them.
I would get frustrated. Yeah, I would get frustrated when I would go back and I'll end up in the same place. And I'm like, that can't be. Let's go back. Where did I go wrong? I want to go somewhere else.
That's hilarious. Okay, we got off. Well, how do you cope?
I cope by continuing to go by my personal definitions of good and bad, by getting still, by feeling it, by asking myself, okay, how do I really feel about this? Part of it too is getting to know myself, getting to know like who I am, and then trusting who I am.
Yeah, that's
a big thing for me. Just trusting myself, and trusting that I'm a unique thread of God, of Source, of the universe.
Yeah.
And I am exactly how I'm supposed to be, so I can trust that. So if I say something feels good, and then, I trust that I'm not a sociopath out here. No one has told me that so far. And I haven't told myself that, and I haven't questioned that for myself. So it's safe to say at this point in time, I am not a sociopath. So
okay.
I feel like
that's good to know.
Yeah, I have a conscience and empathy. So I feel like I have a good understanding of when I'm kind of doing something that's, it's not so great, because I usually feel guilt and shame, remorse.
Yeah.
Something that said that I did something that wasn't in alignment with my best self.
Okay.
And then
go ahead. I'm sorry. I just have a question.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord.
So yeah, I want to get still and feel and think and slow down. That's a big part. Slow down and really give myself time to think of what I'm really saying in the moment. Because that could be the difference between me deciding to do something new and me retreating. If it's like I'm at an open mic and I'm starting to feel okay, a little bubble guts, a little nervous,
that's bubble guts. Got the BGs.
Really ask yourself, okay, what is it right now? And like, this may not feel great, but how would you feel if you walked away? Like, is this something we can push through because that it could be good on the other side, or is this something you need to do to get a better understanding of yourself, a better understanding of this moment and these situations.
Yeah.
So giving myself time to fill that out, to fill out what I really mean, instead of just doing that like quick and dirty, oh, that's good, that's bad, like move on.
Right.
Spend my time with it.
Spend time with it.
Yeah, spend some time with it. That's how I'm coping.
I love that.
Yeah. What's that question?
Okay, so we did all this to talk about good and bad, but do you feel like we need both? Like,
yes.
Okay. Why?
I feel like we need both experiences, because sometimes what we perceive as bad, it could be our perception, and it's really like a lesson.
Yeah.
I think we do need the contrast. We need the contrast. We need the
time. Yeah. And that's the thing I have to focus on too, because what is light without dark, and right. I don't know. I'm this is something, like I said, I still ponder so much about what is good and what is bad, because I have so much to learn, which is actually really exciting about life. I thought about this the other day. I was like, oh my God, I still have so much to learn. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. But yeah, that is interesting. That is interesting.
We don't have an answer. We don't have a clean answer. For this one.
Yeah, I would like to know what everybody else thinks, but I think we're to the recap then. Is that
okay?
But how you're feeling?
We get to the overall recap for you, because you were so concerned about not having an answer. What from this whole conversation, what's the most important thing that you took away from this?
That I don't fucking know. No, I'm just playing. What did I take away? I took away that I do have a basis of why I feel uncomfortable around it. I do have an understanding that I am questioning a lot of things, and that is okay. I took away from this that it doesn't have to be clean, it doesn't have to be neat. I don't have to wrap it up in a bow. I can just put my questions out there, or my assertions, and work from there. Like, I think the beauty of being an adult is seeing that, no, I don't have to have it figured out right now. I have time to gauge and to re-examine and recalibrate and say, okay, maybe that was good for me when I was 20, but maybe staying up till 6 a.m. then going to work at 8 a.m. is not good for me at the age that I am now. It's just being okay with uncertainty. I think that's what this is kind of helping me to come to terms with.
So something that's new that you didn't really know before is that uncertainty doesn't have to necessarily be bad.
Right. Yeah, what about you?
Oh, I just asked the question.
I know. Answer.
Oh, what's something that I took away from this? I think the most important piece is that really giving it a good thought, that I have to take my time and really give it a good thought and go deeper with my discernment of things. And then I also learned that, maybe there is like a moral component to my good and bad that at times I could overlook. So it's good to bring that back into my awareness that as a society, we do have a religious backing for good and bad. Yeah. A Christian backing if you're in the U.S. and other countries, whatever religion is dominant in your country. They say separation between church and state, but that's a lie. That's a lie. So this conversation just made me want to double down on me trusting me to make my own assessment of what is good and bad for me. And it's for me. I can't say this is good for everyone. But I mean, what's good for me? It could be good for some people who are like me. That's cool. Right. We're tried. We vibe. But if you don't think it's good, that is okay too.
Yeah. So then now it's the recap?
Now you can recap.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you for continuing to join us all the way to the recap. So to recap, right? Good and bad will always remain subjective. Those words are best put to use when you explore why you choose to label something as such. What's good for you may not be for your neighbor, and what's bad for them may be your breakthrough. It could be helpful to re-examine your understanding of both words for a deeper insight into who you are and how you move.
I love that. Go ahead.
Thank you. No, I was saying that's the recap. That is the recap.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Re-examine for yourself.
It's very important. This was a fun episode, and I think I would like to explore this again. I'd like to maybe be reoccurring so we can see how our understanding changes over time. Maybe not next year, maybe give it a couple years, and then we'll dive into it again.
Oh, I like that. A couple years. That means we're going to be here in a couple years. I like that.
Period. But okay, do you have any shout outs this week?
Don't have any. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
No, I don't have any shout outs.
Yeah, I don't either. I will just shout out the listeners. I want to say thank you for continuing to follow us along on this beautiful journey. We appreciate you guys just fucking with us. Real shit.
Right. I was about to say, I don't have a shout out. Is that bad?
No, it's not bad. I sometimes I have one, sometimes I don't. But if I don't, then
I'm just going off of the topic.
Oh, wow. I didn't even catch it. I was like, no, certainly not.
No, I appreciate that, though. Look at that knee-jerk reaction of compassion and understanding.
Try.
And no judgment. Look, you're doing it already. Being aware of the should statements.
Honestly, my judgment is at an all-time low.
I believe that. I
Low,
really do.
low, 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 low. I don't think that's quite how it goes, but
Right. I was like, I don't know that song,
you
but I was
don't.
gonna go with it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll figure it out and I'll tell you later. But I mean, I still have a lot of work to do because there is still judgment. I still sometimes sit at a place of judgment, but I'm working on it and I'm
We're
grateful
human.
for the opportunity to continue to grow.
Right. That's why
But
we're here. If we're not growing,
it,
why are we here?
exactly. I think we are now, though, to my favorite part. Yeah. Okay, if you are new, this is the meditation portion of the podcast. What we do is take a couple deep breaths. We set an intention, take another couple deep breaths, and then I let you go about your day. So what I'd like you to do for me is to take a big deep breath. We'll take a second deep breath. And take one more deep breath. And now we'll set our intentions. I intend to continue to question my idea of good and bad so that I can come to a place that is authentic to me.
And it is my intention to continue self-exploration so that I am better able to make a decision on whether something is good or bad and trust that decision.
I love that. And now we'll take our last set of breaths. Take another big, deep breath with me. We'll take a second deep breath. And we'll take our last deep breath. All right. Your intentions have been set for the day. Go out there and flourish, sis. Today doesn't have to be a mess.
But it's okay if it is.
So, Liz, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in again. Thank you so much for your continued support. I do want to say, if you have a topic idea that you would like us to discuss, please email us at itsamesssispodcast@gmail.com. I want to reiterate, we have a new website for your mess and any other ideas that you have called What's the Mess sis@gmail.com. And we appreciate you guys so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Rena?
Nope, that's all. I appreciate each and every one of you who listen. And please, please do get in contact with us. We want to hear from you. We want to interact with you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We'll catch y'all on the flip side. Peace. It's a mess.
Hey, that's why I can't sing.
It's okay. He's gonna talk over my singing though. Okay, it's ready now.